Hello, I am Radagast, at your service. So the consciousness of abundance, thinking outside the box. This video was inspired by being part and helping out True Vision of Peace's Gwen Caldwell do her first, but really again it is a True Vision of Peace seminar, our first seminar, and it was very educational for us all participants, and as far as the people who paid to attend the seminar, and for the members of True Vision of Peace who were there to see how things went. It went, many hours. It ended a little bit after 5. It had started at 9 in the morning, and what was really useful for us all was identifying how certain people lit up and how certain people kind of got a little grumpy, and the consciousness that attended the difference of getting it, I'll say, between the people who saw the seminar as the fantastic and world-changing opportunity that it is, and those who had envisioned it differently. And I think the ones who envisioned it differently might be a little confused between a business plan and a charity. And charities are separate issues, and they will have to be part of the conversation. But what we're doing here now is building the new infrastructure, and what the funding is for the building of new infrastructure, and that infrastructure is at every level. I mean, basically almost the world as we see it now needs to be re-networked. It needs to be woven into an organic network rather than this synthetic one. Commerce has to follow organic patterns, honest agreements, integrity, if there is competition, it is a form of kind of competition almost between teams, where it's about bringing up excellence. It's not about owning a market. It's about doing your job the best. And so it gave us a real good opportunity to look at what up to now I've kind of called saving humanity. But it's really, saving humanity is through creating a new, sane, healthy, organic, sovereign world. And this takes visionaries. True visionaries. And very often visionaries will kind of have the fire that also kind of goes with a certain amount of entrepreneurial spirit. Now, entrepreneurial spirit is really about somebody knowing how to take a situation that can afford them creativity and then turn that creativity into something self-generating, kind of like a perpetual machine. And what has often held a lot of people back would be finding a source for funding, and then the onerous debt that loans often are, if there's like an interest loan, or shareholders who become permanent non-participating parties that just will take more out once it starts generating, taking more out than is part of their input. And so what the True Vision of Peace plan is trying to lay out is the ability to access funds interest-free, and to change the world. Entrepreneurs who not only create good situations for themselves, but the whole idea of a new networking and creating a new world that will save humanity is entrepreneurial networking that creates meaningful, I'm not going to use the word employment, a meaningful path through one's life where one is hooked into being part of a productive world, and then also, but the efforts put forward are also generate a generous return, because the various parasites are no longer in the system. And in designing a new system that doesn't start out with a parasitical loan, things can then go forward, and people can then get free of ownership and actually own every single bit of the enterprise. And what's beautiful about this is, as we start to build these new local enterprises, more and more people are coming on board, and then we start networking with those who do that. But the thing is also, the ones who grow locally, it's about providing new options and opportunities to people who aren't even aware that there are other opportunities, and largely because they haven't been there. So I mean, the whole new ways of people that grow or build things, people who deliver things. I mean, we don't have to depend on just FedEx and UPS anymore. I mean, every new organic upwelling creates opportunities to start networking. And again, people who just said, if I could just get my hands on a little bit to get this started, and it's a really good idea, then you tap into the consciousness of abundance, which is getting into the network. It's like being an organ in a body. It's like you form an organ, you find your situation in the body, and now you get the nourishment, you get the protection, you get everything that comes with being integrated into a body. And this is thinking outside the box. All of our programming, especially if you've gone to business school, but even if you haven't studied business, you live in business. And so you kind of, I would say telepathically, almost like osmosis, where you just, between the programming, because the programming is buy, validity through purchase. Self-validity, no, we'll just tell you you're great. We'll feed your narcissism, but it's going to be an empty narcissism, and you really are not going to find value unless you can get oohs and ahs, or even acceptance, because you have the latest gadget that means you're with it and you're in. So, a big part of thinking outside the box is where we're no longer told what gives us value, where we construct value on our own, first of all, self-sovereign worth, and being able to tie into a network. I mean, you're going to have the people who are creating these new enterprises, and then you're going to have the people who are going to be working in the new enterprises. And the whole idea going forward with these people is everybody gets treated well. CEOs are no longer maybe at the top of the food chain, but it's not like this ridiculous thing where that person gets paid well and everybody underneath also is paid well. And I would see more and more people trying to make whoever comes on board a shareholder, where the shareholders are the people who have this sweat equity, who are actually who through creativity and integrity and good work ethic make a place thrive. And so if you're making a place thrive, then you also, besides the salary, there's also the cream, the gravy that is beyond the cake that you would be getting, or the bread, however you want to put that. But just the whole concept of being totally abundant and independent, to move and have time for your family and not be under any kind of pressures, where the whole being on the hamster wheel to just make enough money to survive. This is what we're building to eliminate. I mean, and it comes all around rethinking housing, and even the structure of government. I mean, corrupt business is the biggest problem. It's why we're all in straits. Is the corruption of those who either are supposed to attend to making us good products, employing us. That whole paradigm of the corrupt business is actually now what governments, I mean, governments are corporations, so governments are businesses. So corrupt business and corrupt government are the same thing. And so that's the other thing, is dismantling corrupt government, but by taking out by starting to create non-corrupt businesses, we start to disempower it. And this is again the whole thing of if you have a tumor, pull away its sustenance and it will go away. I mean, the amount of creativity. I mean, even if people, I mean, certain people could even come up with the idea of domestic security forces for towns who want to get rid of their predatory police. People who just actually come in and only respond to calls to crime, and also in areas that might be prone. That's where they focus. They're not there to give tickets to stop people and harass them. You know what I mean? This is about peacekeeping and making sure that we're in a good place. I mean, and this could, any town can, if they get together, can call whatever shots. I've read recently about a town that fired their police force when their contract came up for renewal. They said no, and they hired a private security firm. Not only did the crime drop drastically, but they're also the residents aren't being harassed by the peace officers. So that's, I mean, we have to get thinking at every level. I mean, to save humanity is to give them a safe world to live in, not a welfare check. And that is a big part. I mean, it seems like some people thought that the funding is for welfare checks, or again, charities. And charities are organic parts that usually will happen locally. I mean, almost every big charity we know is nothing more than a place to make money. I mean, the American Cancer Society. I mean, that is just one big money pit for people. I mean, for people to donate, and it largely benefits the woman who's at the head of that. So I mean, getting back into, locally. I mean, in a local thriving area where you're doing it right. First of all, the homeless problem becomes almost a non-issue, where the homeless become like the ones who just, it's not because they don't have a job, they don't have this, it's because they're not right. So then that becomes a community care thing, or family care, or whatever. But with everybody being empowered and abundant, these become the obvious local things that a community handles. And that's the other thing, we need communities. We live in neighborhoods, but they're so often neighborhoods are not communities. And the whole idea about, the right housing and property values so you can get more equity, there is just so much that to disentangle from to build a better world. I'm sitting here, entrepreneurs, seminars. In these seminars, I mean, we only had one, but I can see how after a few you're going to have regional areas, and how important this is to start networking. And networking from, like, there may be people who go, I just don't know how to do a business plan. So then their networking is, well, who knows somebody that can help? I mean, there is just, the whole idea is to not say, oh, I can't, I don't, this won't, blah, blah, blah. Every single, what seems like an obstacle is something to think through, or it might be time to start at scratch. I mean, again, this is about people who are going to build things out and create the new world. This is not at the moment the time where we're just going to do about charity. There is so much of local issues that are really our problem, but we've been conditioned to think that government handles it, that the corrupt businesses and almost crime networks that are our governments are the ones that we have been programmed to think provide the safety net. They've taken this, there should be a safety net, but the safety net should be, again, your family, your community, but a family and a community that is abundant. because the world is running right, and therefore all little local things become things that we all take care of, and we're not looking for a government, we're not looking for police, we're not looking for any government to tell us what to do, because empowered people don't want other people telling them what to do. They want to know if they get stuck. They want to know somebody who they can go for counsel and be solution oriented. And that is this is all about self-empowerment and stopping our addiction to the government tit, really, which is really what it is. I mean, what I'm seeing is, some people showed up and it just seemed like, can I have funding? I have 10 mouths that need a tit. And it's just, that's what it, in certain cases, and you hear the desire to help, and everybody wants to get that help done, but it comes from, again, in a sane world. So many of these problems that we think we're going to fix with money are actually fixed through creating society anew, and it isn't a long timeline. These business plans can hit the ground and be making a difference in, I would say, in this year or by year's end. They're on the ground, they're operating, and their effects are starting to be felt. And so it's just really about people feeling the motivation to get in there and do it because they can, because there'll be funding for it. There's kind of like a want to help versus knowing how to help. And that's the other thing. It's great to want to help, but to have a plan, you have to know how, and you have to know how to write it out. And in the seminar, Gwen went through a very professional presentation, but she also rounded some corners, because this isn't your typical corporate business plan. This is a business plan like old-fashioned business. There are certain words that we have to use, but the consciousness behind them kind of clarifies things. Business plans to save the world. People are the problem solvers. That's the whole thing. We've been looking as government, solving problems. This saving humanity is about people figuring out the problems. I mean, just because you have funding is not solving the problem, and that's what these business plans are about. These are like, we all need help. We need the creativity. We need the people who have the organizational ability to make things work, where these are not beyond ideas. These are well-crafted plans. And so it's people that are the problem solvers. And that's what this is really about, is finding the problem solvers, because that's how you save the world. We need problem solvers. Create the conditions. I got a few things here. Owning our responsibility to help each other. That's another big part as we start to understand, because the way we get rid of government is not needing it. I mean, again, it's not about overthrowing the government, but we could make it completely irrelevant. But you have to want that. There are certain people who go, oh, no, they're really quite accustomed, and so there are certain people who are going to will be on the fence about this a little longer, but that's okay. It is a core group that'll get this going, and then that grows, and then that grows, and then, I mean, that's the whole idea, that this becomes viral. We're really building the new commerce paradigm. Craft work can come back into play. I mean, how many men or women are actually good tailors or seamstresses, and they say, oh, there'd be no market for that. Again, being original, being sovereign. I picked my clothes. I got myself a nice little vest today. It was yesterday. It's from Nepal. It's wool. It's keeping me warm. I love it. It's made well. Buttons are a little bit different, but I love it, and it's because it's old world handcrafted, and I can't find the clothes I want off a rack. I can get a t-shirt or something, but basically almost everything I made is made in India. It's made of cotton. I won't wear synthetics. My other vest had, like, it was an over thing and it had synthetic, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to get a new vest. I wanted something that was a natural fiber, and this is wool with a cotton lining. And so craft work, I mean, even when I think about when I was in school and we learned woodworking and metalworking, I mean, the equipment I had in my school, I could have made, if you see the ducts in a basement or something for hot air, I mean, we could have made those in our shop. I mean, it's just, there are just endless possibilities for people to revamp, get local, and start owning our own business instead of one or two companies making all the duct work. Why isn't there just lots of duct work locally? There's plenty of people who do boiler repair and use that stuff all the time. Why wouldn't they buy it locally if it's made well? Why wouldn't they want to be thrilled about it? Oh yeah, I know the guys who made this. I mean, that's community where we know who made something. And that's not in all situations. Some things will be national, but there isn't the whole idea of just making more and more local goods, and then people who dedicated groups of people who could just be about getting out the new crafts out there. I mean, why should Amazon get all the money? Why don't we, you create your own network, the all, craft network? I mean, it's just the end. It's not here for me to come up with solutions. This is only as limited as one's imagination. The possibilities here are so astounding. But some people might not see them, and I understand that. But this is we'll work on getting the rest of that vision there. But right now, there's just getting the core people who get it. And there were people at the seminar who were like, first of all, best money I ever spent in my life, and just also enjoyed the uplifting nature and being with people of a like mind and realize, hey, the world really is going to shift. But we're a part of that shift because we have to shift. The world we are the shift in the world. It's not that suddenly just that money's coming. It's the shift that we make with that newfound grease. And then also, certain people, you could hear there was a lot of emotion in what they wanted to do. And so, there was like a lot of this, almost like a reactionary energy where there are other people, what you really want is not emotion around what you want. You want passion for what you do. Because passion is action. It's driven. It has a will. Emotions often are not so willful. I mean, they know what they'd like to accomplish, but there's a whole different thing around wanting to emotionally do something and having a real, absolute passion. And that passion means, given the slightest chance, you will make it happen. I mean, it's almost like somebody has to kill you to stop you. You're not there talking about all the problems that you're having as you're talking about what you'd like to do. Then I get all this, think about product services and employing people. I mean, again, that's, not everybody is going to be the CEO. There's also going to be, there's the accountants, there's the treasurers, there's the people doing the product. I mean, this is what we need to get out there. It's about getting out of the box. And abundance consciousness is different than wealth consciousness. Wealth consciousness is like having a seminar and asking who wants to be a millionaire. That's wealth consciousness. And wealth consciousness has a fixation with being wealthy. Because that is some form of validation or comfort level, as opposed to the true organic comfort level that comes when, hey, I don't have any problems. I don't have debts. I have bills, but they're not the old debt bills. Whatever your maintenance is, or where you live, or you got to do this, you got to do that. But it's the whole formula is different, and so I would like to close with this about us all sharing and understanding that saving humanity is about building the safe world for them and building the infrastructure that is organic, loving and compassionate. And again, there are as we do that, there are all kinds of other things happening above us that will start removing some of the obstacles. But some of those obstacles we might have to move ourselves. But we would move them by identifying. I go, oh, the whole maritime law system is a problem. Yeah, it is. But there's also sometimes the problem when you're doing something, it's just one ordinance or something that might be getting in your way, and you start getting around. You let consciousness to people know, hey, this is blocking good stuff. Let's just go and this one ordinance, and this is what we want to go. I mean, the Occupy movements, the reason they didn't fail is, well, first of all, they're having drum circles and stuff. They weren't there with just like, I don't know, we want this person fired. I don't know. I mean, just one demand. There was no real clear demands. And the other, so when you do want things, it's like Occupy was an opposition to banksters. But although they were opposition, the reason they weren't empowered is because they didn't have a proposition. As I've said in early things, this isn't about opposing what we don't like. This is about identifying what we don't like and proposing the solution. And sometimes that solution is we don't consent. And if you have a real vocal group of people that say enough, we want this law done, it'll have to go. It really does. Nobody's really tried. I mean, look what happened down in Florida. Feeding the homeless was illegal, and people got that law changed. So it's because they identified one law. That's why it got changed. They identified one subject, and people and the politicians always want to calm the people down as easy as possible. And so this was like, oh, they're not pulling out town hall. They're just this thing. Okay, I guess we can give them this because that's what they always want to do. Conflict, easy conflict resolution. So you start with that, and then you start with another. I mean, the whole thing is pull it down brick by brick, but identify your bricks. Okay, I think that'll be my talk for tonight. I hope it was useful. I can't tell you how inspired I was seeing Gwen give her seminar, the astounding amount of information she delivered, how much love and coherence she poured into the PowerPoint business plan that she presented during her seminar, and then again the seeing the people who got it, and I could just feel the energy in the room, and I look forward to when we're going to have the follow-ups, because we're going to have Gwen offered follow-ups, and these will be true vision of peace follow-ups with these people where the team is there, and it's all about support, identifying any places that people are stuck in conceptual things. I mean, this, I can't tell you, it was really, really exciting, but it made me, the people who were having problems with getting excited, I could identify it clearly as thinking in the box, coming from, again, a life of government welfare, where, if I'm, like, where self-responsibility is give or take, and if you decide, like, taking a few years off from responsibility, you could probably work out something with the government so you can just kind of float around for a while. There is, and again, I don't blame people for wanting to pull out of their various jobs and the things they do in life, because it's all bullshit. I understand that. So the thing is, now we need to create a life that is vibrant and alive and full of meaning, so the only people who really might not want to contribute are people who have some issues that they need worked out. So okay, I think that'll be it. I hope this meant something to anybody who didn't attend the seminar and it still had value. I guess I'll find out in my comment section. Before all else, I say to God within you, God bless to all.